Do you feel frustrated trying to grow your franchise? Are you having trouble balancing your consumer and franchise development marketing? Do you wish there was an easier way? Imagine if you had a proven roadmap to take your franchise's marketing from costing you to making you money. That's why we've created the Franchise Growth Blueprint. We walk you through the exact same process that we use to run franchise marketing campaigns for our clients at scale that has resulted in triple-digit growth. This blueprint isn't for anyone. It's not for people just starting a franchise. It's not for franchises without long-term goals. This is for franchises that want to scale up their marketing in a predictable and profitable way using a proven roadmap. If you want to sell more franchises, keep your current franchisees happy, and learn from people who have already done it, go to franchisegrowthblueprint.com and sign up today. That's franchisegrowthblueprint.com. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Franchise Marketing Podcast. Today, I'm very excited. I have Scott Abbott, who is the CEO of ProNexis. Scott, welcome to the show.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So for those of our listeners who haven't heard about you and ProNexis, what are you all about?
So my background has actually been in franchising since 2005. I founded a company called 5 Star Painting and built that business till 2015 with one of my co-founders, Chad Jones. And we sold that business to Neighborly, which back then was called Dwyer Group. And deep in my DNA is really being a franchisor. But as part of that transaction, we realized that the technology we had used and built to build 5 Star Painting would be really valuable to other franchisors as well. So we actually spun out our businesses into two companies. So 5 Star Franchising owns two brands right now. One is 5 Star Bath Solutions. So we're a bathroom remodeler, and we've got locations in Canada and the United States. I think we're up to 55 or so now. And we have another concept called Joe Homebuyer, which is a real estate concept where we help franchisees effectively flip homes or flip contracts on homes. So they actually don't buy the house; they'll actually put the house under contract and sell that contract to someone who wants to flip it. And that has about 18 franchisees now. We launched that just about 12 months ago, so it's a brand new concept. Both are doing really, really well. We're seeing triple-digit growth on both businesses year over year, and the supplier to those businesses is a company that I'm the CEO of, which is ProNexis. So Pro means home service professional. Nexus means to connect in Latin multiple ways. We're about being an omni-channel experience for any customer trying to book for any home service in franchising. So whether it be voice, chat, text, email, instant booking online, any way a customer wants to book, we have technology that basically pulls that all together into one place. And we have agents that actually represent those brands and do the scheduling for them, or in some cases, sales for them over the phone or over chat, or in some cases, even we do integrations with like proprietary technologies like Thumbtack. They're a lead gen partner. They supply leads to the home services category. We actually integrate with them, and we are in their chat on behalf of the franchisees, communicating with their customers and booking.
That's really cool. And I can totally see the value in it, right? Because like as a franchisee, you're busy, remodeling a home or, managing your team or, out spraying people's lawns or whatever. And you don't necessarily have the time to constantly be, on your phone, answering calls, emails, text, SMSs. So like, where did you, I guess, like start? Like, where was this light bulb moment for you to be like, hey, I want to do this? And you started off.
Yeah, it really came in 2004 when we launched 5 Star Painting, and one of my co-founders, he actually had been running a home services business that was not franchised, finishing basements and painting homes in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And I was in Winnipeg, Manitoba. We had grown up together. I've known him since he was about 11. So we've been friends for quite a while. And when we got together at a friend's wedding, we were talking about what they were doing and realized quickly that there's an opportunity. And as part of that, we actually launched two businesses at the same time to test out this thesis we had. that if we built a business in a certain way, it could excel. So in 2014, we launched a company called Paintworks and then 5-Star Painting. We ran them side by side for a full year, separate estimators, separate phone numbers, separate advertising. And what we did is we effectively took the Paintworks concept and copied a leading franchise or in the painting space. And then we kind of modeled 5-Star Painting the way we felt like it would be the most successful. And we put these ads side by side. Websites were actually identical other than the colors. So we tried to truly do an A/B test. And we found that the 5-Star Painting advertising style had about 4-to-1 calls over the Paintworks style. So we knew we were onto something in 2004. In addition to that, as part of our research to understand, and making sure that what our advertising was working, I would actually call up thousands. In fact, I think I called over 1,000 painters over the course of a year to try and understand their marketing, what they were doing. And what we found was only 20% of painters answered their phones on the first attempt. So that stat is funny enough, even back then, this is 2004, 2005, it validated that we needed to have a call center at the heart and soul of the business, so the customer experience was perfect for home services. But what's even more funny about that is even today, we're now 2021, it's been almost 17 years since that time. And we get called in at ProNexis frequently on their brand where they'll say, hey, would you mind doing what we call an answer audit or a brand audit, where we'll actually call all of their franchisees in their entire system 10 times over about 10 days at different intervals. So Monday at 3, Tuesday at 1, Friday at 4, on the weekend. And then we'll record how many of those calls are answered. And I've never seen a result better than 70% ever, even if they have a full-time staff member or if they've got an outsourced call center. It's never happened. Most of them are between 35 and 40% answer rates. So when you think about that, if you're in marketing, right, your job is to help them get leads. Well, you can get all the leads from them you want. If they're not actually responding to texts, emails, or phones, they simply are not generating the revenue that they could as a franchisee. So as a franchisor, we viewed that as being our number one way of actually growing revenue. So making sure that we, first of all, understood the problem, like when do customers call? When are they looking? When does that light bulb moment happen where they want a home service of some kind? Making sure we're staffing accordingly so we're meeting the supply with the demand. And then effectively being in a position where we're tracking it all so we know which leads are a better ROI than others. That's any business's game, is understanding their cost of acquisition of a customer. And so as at the heart and soul of our business was nailing and then scaling how to effectively answer customer requests and just booking them. And understand that it was a problem made it possible for then the franchisees to just say, look, I'm just going to pay this amount of money per month. The cost of using ProNexis is about 1/6 the cost of an office admin. So you're paying for 1/6 the cost, but you're getting about 4 times the coverage. We're 24/7, 365. An office admin comes in at 9, leaves at 5, has a potty break, has a lunch break, has a Facebook break. And if calls happen at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Monday, and there's 2 of those happening at the same time, she or he cannot get to both of those. So clearly, it's an impossibility for one individual, even if you're paying them well, to get to all the leads. Our service does that at around 6 times the coverage. Sorry, 4 times the coverage, but 1/6 the cost. So that's the nexus for ProNexis. That's where we came from. And what I can say for sure is that for all of our franchisees that use us, and for the brands that we don't own that use us as well, the commonality is that the franchisee's business becomes more valuable. The moment you, the owner, are no longer needed 24/7 in a business is the moment your business becomes more valuable. So if you're building something, you don't want to be in a position where you're at a soccer game watching your son play and a lead comes in from Home Advisor and you have to determine whether or not you want to pay attention, be present in the moment with your son, or call that lead because you spent $100 on it. ProNexis takes care of all that. We're integrated with Home Advisor. We're integrated with Thumbtack, with Porch, with any lead gen provider, so that all that stuff. I think our average response time to leads from HomeAdvisor and Thumbtack is about 2 minutes. And often it's, within 30 seconds. So if they send us a lead, within 2 minutes, that lead's contacted. In fact, we recently did a test with, one of the world's largest brands in home services. And I don't want to name them because I don't know if they want this information public, but this is one of the best brands in home services, one of the best well-run brands in home services. And what they did is they did a look at when they get a lead from a marketplace partner, how long, and the marketplace partner provide this data, how long would it take for their franchisee to contact the lead that they spent $100 on? The average response time was a little over 4 hours. So, when you're dealing with just the overall cost and how fast that lead quality declines over time, if you're in a space where our test actually was under a minute was our response time, it puts us in a position where we're almost always doubling the return on investment for any leads they buy from HomeAdvisor, Porch, or Thumbtack. And so that's what justifies ultimately our existence and what we do. Never mind helping them live a life where they don't have to worry about answering their phones and their leads at all times of the day. And the customer loves it because in many cases they get what they want. They just want an estimate, or they want schedule a job of some kind.
Wow, I have so much to that I want to unpack here. Like I think one of the biggest things that just blew my mind is when you were talking about auditing, your potential franchises, right? Like typically they're in that 30 to 40% response range. That blows my mind. Like it's literally franchisees just burning money, right?
Absolutely.
Like there are people that are putting their hands up saying, I want to buy from you. And you're not even saying, yes, like, come, I want your money. It blows my mind. We'll get right back to the show, but do you feel frustrated trying to grow your franchise? Are you having trouble balancing your consumer and franchise development marketing? Do you wish there was an easier way? Imagine if you had a roadmap to take your franchise's marketing from costing you to making you money. That's why we've created the Franchise Growth Blueprint. To find out more, visit franchisegrowthblueprint.com. That's franchisegrowthblueprint.com. Now back to today's episode.
It shouldn't be too surprising because like what you said, think about the life of a home service contractor, right? If they own a franchise, for example, in our bathroom remodeling business, and imagine they don't have Pronexis in place. Most of their day is driving around, meeting with customers, meeting with foremen, and running jobs, collecting checks, depositing them, and building and just running their business. That is like 8 to 10 hours a day. And leads come in when they come in. They want to buy when they want to buy. And if they happen to phone you when you're in the middle of an estimate with a customer, it's going to go to voicemail. If they happen to call you while you're outbound dialing a lead on HomeAdvisor, it's going to be busy. That's just the reality of the business, right? And so the way I look at it is this. And this is what got me and why I felt like, we hit, and for that matter, we did get a hitting combo because our 5-star painting brand was one of the fastest growing companies in Utah for like 6 years running. We built it into 4 countries. It was very, very successful brand. And it was because we understood that element better than anything else. The home service contractor does not have time to get in front of their customers, right? And in addition to that, how can you make intelligent decisions if you don't know how they found you? So if they do call up and you are talking to them and you're saying, I want to book an estimate. The person says, I want to book an estimate. By the way, about 80% of the time, it's a woman that's calling to get home services done, right? They call you up and she's saying, I'd like to book an estimate. You go ahead and just deal with that scheduling. Did you remember to ask them how they found you? If you did you have time while you're driving in your truck to the next estimate to record how they found you into your software so you knew that came from your direct mail campaign? All those elements of tracking are critical. And as I look at this from traditional franchising, which is where it started, right? Restaurants is where this all came from. McDonald's being one of the best examples of that. Think of how much money and time McDonald's corporate spends on ensuring that their brand is properly represented. The outside of that building is pristine. The bathrooms are always clean. The floors are always swept. The tables are always washed. I know this has actually worked there when I was 15 years old. I know how much they cared about how their brand was represented. It was critical. And so if that's how it's done in retail or in restaurants, how are we doing that in home services? because the first point of contact of a customer with your home service brand is over the phone. Now it's text or chat, but it used to be just the phone. And so if as a franchisor, to me, it seems insane that I would let the franchisee effectively have their storefront be compromised by the fact they're just too busy with business or they couldn't get to those calls. So we had to own it. And there's I've said this many times in the past. I've gone to tons of conferences, spoken at a lot of different events, and I will often ask the franchisees of home service brands what whether their largest job ever was from one lead, right? And in some cases, we're talking $1 million. At 5-Star Painting, I think the biggest job we ever got through the call center of just a random lead was about $400,000. So if that call had to come in at 6 p.m. or at 12 p.m. while your admin was on a lunch break, you would have lost $400,000, right? And the service cost you $600 a month. We're talking about. So when you look at the return on your investment, it was just so significant. Never mind quality of life and everything else. Never mind all the other pieces of this. You have to protect your brand. And in today's world, where Amazon is forcing the entire industry to become more customer friendly, instant booking friendly, we have to be rethinking how we run our home service companies. We have to now compete with Amazon and Google's of the world. It's not competing against Chuck in the Truck, which is all I had to do in 2004 and 5. If I did it better than him or her, I did fantastic. Now I have to now elevate my companies to that point where we're competing with Amazon and Google. And the reality is Pronexis enables us to do that. And it's been why we've been growing over 100% per year.
Awesome. So, I was chatting with a home service franchisor a week or so ago. And one point of contention that, I was talking with them about and some other franchisors is, as a franchisee, as a franchisor, your brand best. So how are you translating, this knowledge, this passion that, these franchisees have over to you and the ProNexus team?
Yes, so such a valid point, right? Like there's no question that the franchisee knows their business way better than me or any of the agents working in our center. But we have to think through is a few things. So first of all, the first argument would be the franchisee is a 4 out of 10 on answering, and I'm about a 9 out of 10 on answering. Okay, just simply getting the phone call. So you may be a 10 out of 10 on quality, although we could argue over that a little bit. But let's just pretend we give it to them. You're a 10 out of 10 in quality. You know everything, and you're a fantastic salesperson, and you close them all when you get them on the phone. But if you do your equation and you go, well, only 40% get to you, and you are at a 10 out of 10, your equation shows you at 4. 0.4 times 10 is 4. Okay, now do the same math with me. Let's say I'm a 9 out of 10, so I'm 0.9. Let's say I'm an 8 out of 10 on quality, or even a 7 out of 10 on quality. I'm still 50% better than they are when you combine those two elements. So that's understanding that is the first piece, right? The second piece is really unpacking, really, are they better than us? And this is where I think for the franchisee, they have a clear understanding of how critical bringing businesses in is. But at the same time, often franchisees get caught up in trying to disqualify work they don't want to get in front of. Like in the painting world, we'd have people I'd have franchisees who'd say, well, I don't want an estimate unless it's at least, $1,000. And then they wouldn't deal with customers who were 400 or 500 because it was a waste of their time. But the reality was that those customers could be upsold. Those customers can refer you business. And so we spent a lot of time at 5-Star Painting helping owners understand the true value of a customer is not just the first economic benefit you receive from them. It's the long-term relationship you build with them. And so at ProNexis, the way we actually charge our clients is for the scheduled appointments we set. Okay, so we actually are aligning ourselves with them in terms of getting estimates scheduled or jobs sold. We have a policy of refunding, no questions asked, any appointment that's ever scheduled that the franchisee didn't want, because maybe the person called up and said, do you do epoxy floors and painting? And we just booked it, and it turns out that franchisee doesn't do epoxy flooring. That's fine, we give a full refund. But by aligning ourselves in that way, my organization is so focused on the conversion rate number that we're driving performance actually higher on the quality side than they can. Because ultimately, what really matters, right, is getting the person to stop shopping for a home service, engage with your brand so you can get in front of them and start selling them. If I'm teeing that up, then the quality doesn't matter. So the customer asks questions like, hey, I want to know if you do feature walls on your paint job, as an example. And my agent has no idea whether or not they do feature walls. We book it anyway. It's now on their calendar. Our answer is yes. Let me go ahead and have my salesperson get in contact with you. I'll get you scheduled at Thursday at 2:00. The estimate's free, and they're booked. They're on their calendar. They're going to stop shopping. They now have an estimate. Now the owner sees in their notes all that information that the customer wants a feature wall painted and it's a certain color and so forth. And they decide they don't want to do that job. They call the customer. They cancel the appointment. We're good. But in most cases, it results in what the customer wants and what the owner wants. And so by doing it that way and giving us the out where a customer may ask a question we can't answer, but our response is, I'm the local admin. I actually don't know the answers to that question, but your local estimator does, and they can be in touch with you on that. It gets them to just go ahead and say yes to the appointment. Mm-hmm. So we're tracking about 90% of all the calls that come through result in an appointment. And on our math, on other analysis, it's more like 78 to 80% for owners who do it themselves. So even though they may feel like they have a better quality, we find a lot of owners get stuck in this trying to really pre-qualify all the elements they want and to get the customer to stop. Actually, in many cases, to unsell the customer because they actually want the perfect job.
And one thing I want to bring up again that I find really interesting with you and the ProNexis team is that you're tying your performance to actually booked calls or booked appointments or
Right.
however, rather than number of phone calls picked up or number of leads talked to, because that way you succeed when the franchisee succeeds. So
Exactly.
having that kind of symbiotic relationship, I'm just sure helps tremendously.
Well, it comes back to, once again, there's a few things that makes us very different, right? Like I used to, when we were evaluating how to do this, we actually used an outsourced center to do it for 5-star painting because we were too small to afford our own. And frankly, they're very expensive to build right. But that all said and aside, I found myself really frustrated with my answering service because they would just take a message. They didn't stop the customer from shopping. They took a message and they relayed the message back to me, and I had to call them back anyway. It was very inefficient if you think about it. And then they got charged for every minute of time that they took that message. So if we put ourselves in a position where we're actually able to give the customer what they want, which first of all, get scheduled, okay? And we aren't charging you by the minute. We're not trying to take more time up to make more money by being less efficient. We're trying to drive at getting a great customer experience, book them, stop them from shopping, and aligning with the owner. It puts us in a position where the owner can now think of things in terms of, what's my cost per appointment? How many of those appointments do I close? What's my revenue per job? And they can now figure out their cost as a percentage of revenue for Pronexus versus they have no idea. I mean, if I don't book a job, I get paid. If I do book a job, I get paid because I'm charged by the minute. Where are our incentives at that point? We're no longer aligned. So, we've been doing this for 5-6 years at Pronexus. And in all this time, we've kind of honed that to the perfection where we are fully aligned with the customer, having this full refund and customer and guarantee for our franchisees. So they know that if the appointment wasn't done properly and the customer canceled, they're not charged. We only bill in the event the customer got an estimate of what they want.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm glad you're bringing like all these numbers and metrics up, because so many times I see, franchisors focusing on these like vanity metrics. So it's like, how many calls did I get, rather than like, how many quality leads did I get? How many booked appointments? How many customers? So again, I love this focus on what I call metrics that actually matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed.
So Scott, one question I always like to ask guests is, what advice would you give someone just starting out as a franchisor?
As a brand new franchisor? Oh boy, yeah. That's a really good question. So, throw back to that early stages. You want to build it right, okay? And this is where, like, if you're a brand new franchisor, never having done this before, you need to get someone that's done it before on your advisory council ASAP. That is mission critical. And the reason why is there's so many things you can do wrong at the beginning in your franchise disclosure document that can set you up for failure 5 years down the road. So as an example to that, technology is moving very, very quickly. And a lot of old school franchisors in the home services category had no technology fee built in. So then as things have been moving so quickly, they need to be investing in technology, but they don't have the resources to do it because they don't have fee for the franchisee to charge for field software or other systems that are critical to success. So getting someone in place that knows your category and can be an advisor is going to be, it's like their 1 hour of time will save you years of heartache. Similarly, right, if you are building a business and you know that you want to have a superior customer experience, you should be locking in the fact that you can indicate which are your supplier partners that ultimately can drive that success, right? Otherwise, you've got franchisees like trying to herd cats. You've got them all different directions, hiring their own digital marketing agency, their own call center service, they're buying their own software. You don't have a system, and you shouldn't be in franchising if that's what's happening. You need to have a system that's been proven, tried and true, that you're repeating over and over again, that's built into your franchise disclosure document. So, step number one is get a good advisor on your board. Step number two, follow their advice, learn from all their mistakes, make sure you're building your FDD correctly from the beginning, and that'll set yourself up for success.
I love it. I absolutely love it because it's essentially you're shortcutting, so much time, so many learnings. Who knows, how many thousands of dollars you're saving from avoiding all of these mistakes that, your advisor, your board of advisors have made.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. So Scott, we are nearing the end of the episode, and I like to end all of them with something that I call the lightning round. So it's just a few fast-paced questions coming at you.
Okay.
No curveballs, I promise. Are you ready?
Throw curveballs too. It's just fine.
All right. So first question, what is your favorite tool or app that you cannot live without?
Oh, Google Docs for sure.
Awesome. I love Google Docs. Next question is, what is your favorite book?
Very Good to Great. I'd pick that one, I think.
Oh, fantastic book. Scott, next question. Who is a franchise leader that you look up to?
I'd say Mike Bidwell, CEO of Neighborly. The guy is amazing. He's a machine.
Awesome. Yeah, great guy. All right, Scott, last question, I promise. Where can people find out more about you and your company?
Pronexis.com. So PRONEXIS.com.
Awesome. Scott, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. You dropped a ton of knowledge bombs. Thank you so much. I know our listeners are really going to appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
No problem. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Franchise Marketing Podcast. If you found this episode useful, share it with a friend and subscribe now so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. And until then, happy marketing.